Good morning, everyone, and greetings from Helsinki, Finland. We are happy to also join this great conference on a very smoking hot topic of carbon farming, and this session is devoted to the farmers' perspective and farmers' possibilities and prerequisites for farmers to earn possibly extra income from the carbon market and carbon incentives. My name is Kai Graham. I represent the Finnish non-profit foundation, Baltic Sea Action Group. I have been working with different aspects related to sustainable agriculture for quite some time, but with always the objective of the health of the Baltic Sea in mind, and trying to work for sustainable food systems that help both the nature and people to thrive. With me joining this session as speakers, I have my colleague Laura Höjer, director from the Baltic Sea Action Group, and then we have farmers, entrepreneurs, Anna-Sophie and Jörg Klaus from Germany, who will be given the floor later on. Let's not waste any more time. We have a short session and a lot of different aspects in carbon farming topic to discuss. So let me give the floor first to my colleague Laura Höjer to introduce us to the Carbon Action Platform.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. So I will take the presentation from here. It was working when I tried the last time. Let's see. And of course now it's not working so well. Let's see.
Okay.
Amazing, because it was just working.
Laura, I can also try to share it from my...
Yes, if you share it from there. I'm so sorry. It was worked when we tried, but it's not so easy technology, I have to say. Okay, great. Thank you. If you can share it, and I just put this away then. Okay, great. Sorry, and thank you. So I'm going to tell you shortly about carbon action in a nutshell. In carbon action, so Baltic Sea Action Group is coordinating carbon action. And in carbon action, the aim is really to promote regenerative agriculture and carbon farming. So really the topic of this webinar. And here you can see the first slide. Maybe can you put it in the slide show?
Okay, I have two different.
Is it like in the... And then the next slide already, please.
How is it now?
It's sort of like in a small icon. It's not like the slideshow version.
Okay. Let me just disconnect this screen and... Okay, I try to share it again.
But maybe, I don't know, maybe you can see it even though it's a bit small.
How is it? It should be now as in the presentation mode.
I don't know if somebody can see it. For me, I can't see it as a presentation mode, but I don't know how the others see it. Is it my problem or?
Okay, I think we have to continue.
Okay, I think we just have to continue.
I see it in full screen mode.
Okay. Okay. So a carbon action platform, we are really promoting regenerative agriculture in a very tight collaboration between different stakeholders. And just guys, actually it's not in presentation mode. I can see from the chat from the discussion, but hopefully you can still see the slides even though they are now smaller. I'm so sorry that I really did try to share and it did work, but now it doesn't. But yeah, the collaboration between the different stakeholders. So we do very close collaboration with the scientists, with the companies, with the farmers, and with the decision makers. And actually, Kai is going to tell you more about the decision makers today. I'm going to tell you shortly about the different stakeholders and about the collaboration in this platform. So the scientists are at the very core of this collaboration. a very close collaboration with the farmers. We are so happy to have so many active farmers working with us, and then tight collaboration between the companies. But in the next slides, I go more sort of into deep detail in these different stakeholders. But now I can't see the presentation at all anymore.
Yes,
okay,
now the next slide.
Okay, the next slide. So let's go more deeply into the different stakeholders. So please, the next slide. So I'm going to start with the science. If you have the next slide, please.
Yes, we have science now.
Okay, not yet here. I don't know, does the others see the next slide or not, but I can't see it.
I saw this happened with the earlier sessions also, that there was a time lag in this sharing of the slides.
Okay.
Laura, please continue.
Okay, well, I just have to continue. Hopefully it'll going to change. So when you see the slide, you can see we do collaboration with, I would say, all the biggest research institutes and universities in Finland. And of course, the scientists have a very wide international collaboration in addition. So it's a very wide international collaboration. I want to say it would really help me to see the slide. I'm so sorry. I don't think if anybody sees this. Or maybe I open it on my own computer, because just it's so small I can't even see what I'm talking about. It's not now very perfect situation. Sorry. So the research focuses on soil and plant processes, on farming practices, verification, economics, and steering. And I don't know what slide is going on there. Is it still the same? I would like to go then to the verification. Yes, now we have the science slide. I would go to the next one already, if it's possible.
Yes, I have put the next slide already.
Okay.
So you can
I want to emphasize, as there's a lot of different research, a very wide network of researchers. And actually from the Carbon Action website, you can see we have 20 projects on this Carbon Action platform. And if you go to visit the Carbon Action webpage, you can find all the projects there. But what I really want to emphasize from this research, which is really important for today's topic, is verification. So we have very high level scientific work on this verification. And please visit Field Observatory. You can see the sort of the address to Field Observatory on the next slide. That hopefully is coming soon. And on this Field Observatory, we are really combining data from the field and from the test sites to make it really visual, to make it easy to visualize what is really happening on the fields. And this is of course really important to really that the data is very easy to see for everybody what is happening real time on the field. And this research, it is coordinated by Jari Liski, professor from the Finnish Meteorological Institute, and it's sort of he's behind of this Field Observatory coordinating this work. And then if we would go to the next slide, now actually there is a question to take a break and solve the technical issues, because it's difficult to follow. And I do agree that maybe we have to take a break and try to solve this issue, because
yes, great if we can get the technical support here.
So yeah, I think we do have to take a break, because it's difficult for me to keep the presentation and everybody has difficulties to follow. So maybe I again try to just, I don't know why it's not working from here, but if of course, best would be to, maybe if I open my email from here and then I take it from the email, which I do not want to, of course, share my email, but I can get sort of it from here. I think I got it through my email now, but to share it here. Can you see now my presentation? Can you see it now? Can you guys see the presentation? Yeah.
Yes, Laura, we can see your
So
email.
I took it through my email, but now I've opened the presentation. Can you see it now?
No, we can see
Not
it.
yet.
Laura, can you export it as PDF?
Maybe I then have to, yeah.
Just export it, and then you shouldn't have problems. Then you can just select PDF, and we're gonna see it.
Yeah, it's so shame. It was working when we were trying this before.
I think it must be the connection. Our presentations are probably too large to be shared like this.
I don't know. It was working. Yeah, it could be.
Yeah, but we'll use the PDF versions for all of them.
Okay, so then I can take the PDF, can I, from here? Share, and now it's showing, I think. I don't know what version, but now it's showing something. I don't know, is it PDF, but now it suddenly shows the presentation. Can you see it now?
No, we can't see it now.
It does say that it's sharing. This is really weird. Well, I'll try once again. I don't know, how could I take a PDF from here? It just says...
You have to save it.
Yeah, I did save it.
And change the type of format.
I changed it to PDF, but how can I now take it here?
You just have to open it.
Okay.
You just open it on your computer, and then you go back to the Hopin platform.
And then I just share.
Yes.
My whole sort of, but it doesn't give me active present. It just doesn't want to.
Which browser are you using?
It says in Finnish the whole sort of the whole, but it doesn't. Then it's not active.
But which browser are you using? Are you using Google Chrome?
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. Now I see. Yes, I see. Now the platform.
If I take it, okay, now it's working.
Now
okay,
it's okay.
Right. Okay, so we continue. So I try to be now a little bit quicker. So if I just continue straight now, sorry. Is it okay, Kai?
Yes, please, Laura.
Okay. So I was telling you about this carbon action platform, just in a nutshell. So I'm going to tell you how in this platform we are promoting regenerative agriculture together with all these different stakeholders. And I will now take you thoroughly inside these sort of different boxes. So I started with this scientific and science, as the science is at the very core. A lot of discussion in this webinar also that we do need, even though we know what to do, but we also do need verification. We do need science. And that is what is done a lot in this carbon action platform. A lot of scientists, a lot of scientific, multidisciplinary network of scientists doing research on soil and plant processing, farming practices, verification, economics, and steering. And what I want to really point out from the scientific work that is really relevant for today's discussion is this verification system that is developed in this carbon action. This is done by the Finnish Meteorological Institute, and this work is led by Professor Jari Liski. And please visit Field Observatory to really see real-time data, what is happening on the fields. And I want to emphasize there is the world first forecast on carbon sequestration. So we also try to forecast what is the carbon sequestration going to look like in the near future. Well, now the soil is frozen in Finland, so it may be easy to make a forecast. Not so much is happening at the moment as it has been really cold weather in Finland. And what you can see from this field observatory, what kind of data, as I said, that you can see what is happening. So this kind of data we can then take out from this field observatory. We have, for example, this test site, Qvidya, And we can really see that it is now already working as the field is a carbon sink at the moment, as we have now long-term data from this Kvidja study site. There is a link to a scientific publication that just came out if you want to look more thoroughly. But just to show that how important it is to have really good real-time measurements and show what's really happening, and to see that when you do different practices, is the soil a sink or not? So I think this is really, really important part of the work. But then what I'm really proud in this carbon action work is this really tight collaboration with the farmers, very active, motivated farmers working with us. From the very beginning of this carbon action work, from 2018, we started working with 100 carbon action pilot farms. You can see the Finnish map of Finland here in this slide, and you can see where the farms are situated. These 100 farms have been working with us from the doing the research with us, and a lot of training and co-development. These farmers are also sort of training our researchers. They are really co-development and co-learning together. We had a positive problem. We had other farms wanting to join this carbon action work. We couldn't because of the resources. We could not take more farms to be part of this research work. But then we had this carbon action club to get everybody who wants to join the work. And now we have about 1,000 that has joined this carbon action club. And really it is to get updated information. For example, this week we are going to have a scientific conference with these carbon action club members. And then we saw a bottleneck can be agricultural advisors, that we would have very skillful agricultural advisors. So we are now training 30 advisors to really become top experts in the soil health and carbon farming. And then we are working very tightly with the companies and also providing training to their contract farmers. And over 600 farmers have been trained. Actually, just last week, we had training in Lapland with a biggest Finnish dairy, Valio. So I think this number is bigger already at the moment, so more than 600. And then we can see, of course, the physical training can be a little bit of a bottleneck, especially now in this COVID situation. So we also opened a free e-college on regenerative agriculture. About the e-college, this is really a free online course for farmers. It is now in Finnish and Swedish. We have a lot of questions that why it would be great if we could have this in English. So we are really now aiming to have a short version also in English for consumers and decision makers. And then about the collaboration with the business platform and with the companies. So really companies can guide both the work of farmers and consumer choices. As I mentioned, with the companies, we are training contract farmers to become carbon farmers. For example, this Valio, it is the biggest dairy in Finland, and we are training their dairy farmers to become carbon farmers. And then some examples with some companies, they have committed to integrate the principles of carbon farming into their sourcing criteria. This is really important also, and can be a really powerful tool in this, in sort of scaling this carbon farming. And then to reach the consumer phase, it's very important to have different kind of products. Altia has launched a first regeneratively produced product, a vodka, Climate Action Vodka. And then a very topical Christmas topic, a new product this year of the oldest and most popular Christmas beer in Finland is made from malting barley from Carbon Action Farm, Verkatakkila Farm. You can see the farmers here. And if you have time, please watch the video. It's a really nice video about the farmers telling the story behind this Christmas beer. And this really, you can really then reach the consumer interface with these kind of products. And then hopefully the COVID is going to, we are going to have an easier life in 2023, and you can all who are interested come to Finland. So we do a lot of international collaboration, especially with the 4 per Mil initiative. And in 2023, in June, we are going to have the first Northern Europe 4 per Mil regional meeting in Helsinki. And the topics are, we are going to talk about multi-benefits, sort of the multi-beneficiary regenerative agriculture and carbon farming, not only carbon, but also biodiversity, water protection. We are going to talk about reporting, verification, and then we are going to talk about peatlands. That really is a special case for Northern Europe. It's going to be a quite wide range with these Northern Europe countries. So please, if you're interested, visit the web page and please contact us. We are very happy to collaborate with this. So it's really a possibility to show in a global scale what we are doing here in the Northern Europe. And then, of course, at the end, as I said, we have a lot of different projects. So we do have a lot of different funders. And I do warmly thank all the funders. And please follow our work on Twitter, on the social media. Thank you. I'm sorry for all the technical problems, but we go through the
yes,
presentation.
thank you, Laura, for enduring also through the problems. And thank you for giving us the elements what we need to have in place in order to have this transition to carbon farming and regenerative farming, and also then facilitate the rewards and incentives from the market and public sector for the farmers. We are, of course, short of time, so we will not take any questions at this point, and we move ahead in the program. And next up is myself. I will tell you briefly about one of our ongoing projects on the Carbon Action Platform. It is a live preparatory project, and which focuses on kind of all of the governance aspects of the carbon market. And just a second, if I can upload the slide. Okay, maybe I have to do it this way. Okay, it was only possible to share like this with the whole screen, but this works. So yes, the project Carbon Farming Scheme is a 2-year project, and it is serving the interest of the EU Commission in preparing different governance elements in the future carbon farming market. And we are one of the partners in the project. The project is led by the Finnish energy company St1, and then there are some other partners also here mentioned. We have a farm, we have a research institute, we have a carbon credit marketplace, and energy trading company. So, like I said, we are in this project mapping the different governance elements of the future carbon market, building on the scientific basis for both measures as well as the monitoring, reporting, and verification framework. We are also looking at the regulatory and legal frameworks in place and how well they align with then the possible incentive schemes. We evaluate different types of incentive schemes and looking at both the supply and demand side for carbon credits, as well as then the publicly supported measures, and how for example the common agriculture policy could support this transition, and where is the interface with the market-driven incentives. And we do all this partly as a desk study, but also through our case farms and forestry plots, where we do modeling calculations and interviews in different climatic regions across Europe to cover different contexts. And in the end, once we are ready, we will publish the final report and recommendations in early next year, and then have a dialogue with the stakeholders and with policymakers about our results and recommendations. So the key questions that we study are how to incentivize farmers and foresters. It is really the task of this project to find ways to scale carbon measures in agriculture and forestry, and in a way that also makes economic sense for the businesses. Then also the regulatory conditions, as I mentioned, and how well they align with these possible incentive schemes. And when we talk about the carbon credit market, then of course we have to adhere to a set of criteria to make it robust and acceptable for the market, and also eligible as carbon offsets. So these are difficult questions that we spend a lot of time on, and then through different examples try to tackle. My presentation focuses on agriculture. We have forestry covered in the project as well. This here we approach this issue most from the agriculture side and different agriculture measures. And the measures we focus on, or we mostly consider now, are measures in arable farming, especially measures that increase soil organic carbon in mineral soils. This is only one segment of carbon farming, of course, but this is what our project focuses on, and this is also much in line with current activities on the Carbon Action Platform. So we look at grass cultivation systems. We look at catch crops. We look at tillage. Also, agroforestry can be considered. But in the bottom, of course, especially in the Nordic conditions, is drainage and soil structure, and the aim with everything we do is, of course, to achieve the picture on the bottom right, where the soil is in good condition, can withhold water and give good yields. Here are some examples of the model calculations we have done with our case farms. They're based on the YASO 07 version of the model. The model is being updated now and to include more parameters, and also being able to give the carbon forecast that Laura told about. These are based on the earlier versions, and the image on the right shows that there is great potential in recycled pulp industry sludges and fibers to store carbon, and the graph on the right side shows how the carbon stock will develop according to the model up to 100 years. The 20-year point shows a reference point actually for our pilot carbon credit market exercise that we are doing in this project, based exactly on these recycled sludge fibers from the pulp industry. And there we have developed a carbon credit product for 20-year CO2 removal, and it's currently on sale at the price of 52 euros per ton. And this gives the equivalent reward for the farmer at about a level of 80 euros per hectare. There's some variation there, but this is a ballpark figure how much farmer could earn from these soil improvement materials. Of course, the MRV is one key building block in this, and we we are really looking forward to that development in the modeling work to incorporate soil carbon dynamics and impact of different farming practices. And hopefully we at some point have common rules for MRV, which then is one of the foundations for the European carbon market, both from the public and the private sector perspective and involving both. Then over to the farmer's perspective, of course, which Jörg and Sophia will tell more about. I've been really delighted and happy to meet farmers during this project, and it's really been an eye-opening experience to learn about their context and drivers. And it is evident that there's some awareness, of course, what the current climatic situation and market challenges demand, what kind of challenges the farmers are faced, and these are the primary considerations of farmers: how to maintain the economy, how to manage with droughts and wetness, how to manage the farm overall, and then if some extra income could be gained from any activities, be it solar energy or wind energy or circular economy solutions or carbon sequestration, that is a bonus. But the focus is in the farm management, as we have learned from the farmers. And of course, the conditions in the carbon market are something that is a big question mark. These are really the key values and principles that the farmer expects the market to respect, and we see that it's more of a question of supporting a holistic transition and not forgetting about the role of the common agriculture policy in this transition. There is really a lot of potential to support these individual aspects, both on the measure level as well as in knowledge sharing and data aspects through that policy. For your further interest, please visit the websites of partners and of different elements in the Carbon Action platform, and also looking forward to our upcoming dialogues in the spring, then based on our recommendations. But now I would like to thank you from my part and give the floor to Sophie and Jörg Klaus.
Kai, I'm sorry, just as a comment, the sound doesn't sound very good. I don't know, is there anything we can do about it?
First, thank you very much for sharing the presentation. I wasn't able to do it.
Great, at least the sound to you, Anna-Sophie, is great, so please continue.
That's good to hear. Yeah, but nice to hear that the sound is good, but first I want to apologize. Our English is not, we're not so used to talking English, so our English is not that well, but we try our best. Yeah, like Kai also told you, 1.5 months ago, he visited us in Germany, and we had a really nice, little bit chaotic because of my little daughter, talked together and an interview together, and Kai asked us to talk about our perspective of carbon farming, a perspective of a German farmer. Yeah, to tell you something about this. And yeah, first of all, I want to give you a little introduction about us. Here I'm sitting together with my farmer. We run a conventional, you can go one slide ahead, please. Thank you. We have a conventional agricultural farm in Saxony-Anhalt in Germany. It's right in the middle of Germany, close to Magdeburg. Magdeburg is in between Hanover and Berlin, if somebody also already have been in Germany. You see there's a little point there. And yeah, it's a family business which runs with two families, Mine and Klaus it's called. You see the little sign on the right side on the bottom of the slides that are our names. Yeah, we cultivate about 2,700 hectares on 4 different locations. The locations, you see the 4 little points on the picture at the top. They are like in a distance of 60 kilometers to each other. It's a family business with 12 employees, and we cultivate wheat, barley, rapeseed, sugar beets, corn, and potato, which is quite a normal farm, a bit bigger than the average, but the cultivation of the plants is quite normal, I would say. And yeah, one point maybe to say about our farm, that we are interested in renewable energies. And since 10 years, we are operating together with 3 other partners a biogas plant. I can go one slide ahead, please. Yeah, Kai gave us a few questions. He said maybe we can answer in our presentation. And one of the question was, what is sustainability for you and for your farm? And yeah, when we define sustainability, I think everybody of you will know that sustainability is based on 3 pillars. For us, it's important to say that there are 3 pillars, not just the environmental one. For us, all of the 3 pillars are really important, and yeah, we were just thinking about the big issues of each pillar. I think for the environmental sustainability, the soil management, environmental protection, and preserving of biodiversity is important. But we also have a look on the social sustainability, where in Germany the mental and physical workload of farmers is a big issue. Also the long working hours and the rising bureaucracy. And you also have a look on the economic parts, which is defined of the liquidity, profitability, and the stability of the farm. Yeah, I think if you have your farm, you have to look on all these different parts if you have make decisions. And yeah, but we are not talking about sustainability. We are talking about the carbon farming and carbon farming models. And my father and I were thinking about what means carbon farming for our farm, what are chances, what are risks, and started to write down some points and then try to put it together into a SWOT analysis. You can go one ahead, please. And we were thinking about what means carbon farming for our farm. We see some strengths, for example, the humus build-up, which goes along with improvement of the soil fertility. And I think carbon farming can be an additional income for our farm, but we also see some weaknesses. We are aware that the implementation is not practical. It has to fit to our technology and our machinery. It has to fit to our annual cycle and also to our weather condition and soil condition and points like this. We see there some threats, like another increasing in bureaucracy, or maybe some more costs because of change in our technology or machinery. And we are aware to see models which don't work in practice. But we also see, of course, some opportunities. One is a new income for farms, which is very important, or it's good. And we also see big synergy effects, that you have maybe better yields because of better humus and better soil condition, and also some more income with, for example, CO2 certificates. Yeah, that's what we are thinking about carbon farming for our farm here in Germany. And yeah, the next question, of course, is based on this, is how should a carbon market system be implemented? And what is important to consider regarding the German agriculture. And I want to show you a few points regarding the German agriculture. You can go one slide ahead, please. I just show you one field in Germany. It's just the normal average field for us we're working on. It's close to the town where our farm is. It's a field here with 55 hectares. But if you have a closer look to the field, you see that there are 75 different parcels of land. And that's the structure we deal with in Germany. And when you go one ahead, please. One slide ahead, please. Thank you. That's the field again. And then we look at the different parcels and look how we have contracts with these parcels. We can go on one enter ahead, please. So some of the parcels are our own, so we own some of the parcels in the field. One ahead, please. Then other parcels, we have contracts with the owner and rented us, for example, until 2024. One ahead, please. Some others we rented from another owner until another period of time, maybe 2029. One ahead, please. And then we have some contracts where we rented annually the different parcels. One ahead. Then some parcels are rented from community of hires, and community of hires are for German farmers really difficult because they all have different opinions what to do with the land and what don't to do with the land. And then we have some contracts just where we rent one parcel of a big field. Please one ahead. And that goes so on. And then we also have the structure in Germany that in a big field with 70 or 100 parcels, not every parcel is bounded with contracts to our farm. There are also parcels which are bounded in contracts with other farmers, and we do land exchange. So we are working on the parcels they have rented, and we give them other parcels we are owners or we have rented, and they have different conditions in their contracts. One ahead, please. And that's with 2 or 3 farmers sometimes on one field. So if we have a look on the field, that's what we see. So it's a really large field and a complex field. And one ahead, please. That's maybe what you see when you look up the CM field on Google Maps. So it looks like really easy, but for us, it's sometimes really hard to make long-term decisions on fields because some contracts are really short and there are like many different contracts we have to handle with. That's something I want to show you. But there are also some other points to consider for the German agriculture. One ahead, please. I think all of you will know that agriculture always depends on the weather conditions, and especially when you're thinking about to implement new crops in your crop rotation, you have a fixed crop rotation. It doesn't work every year because sometimes, for example, the autumn is really wet, and then you have to adapt your decisions really shortly. So for a farmer, it's really hard to have long-term crop rotation decisions. Then something I want to tell you is that agriculture is much more complex than some people think about. So for us, the crop rotation is not only adapted to the climatic and the physical conditions, we also have to think about our machinery equipment. So we are thinking about what machinery do we have, because like, I don't know if you look up how much a tractor costs and how much other harvester costs, they are like really high costs for adaptation. And we also need to look up the working periods of every crop. So some the harvest periods have to fit together because we have like a fixed amount of employees and can't harvest every crop at 1 month. And we also, when we do our crop rotation decisions, we have to look at the government regulations because there are a lot of regulations we have to keep in mind. Then there's one big point in the German agriculture. At the moment, there's a big structural change. And I was working in a sustainability project before, and we found out that one of the main reasons for the big structural change in agriculture is the rising bureaucracy. So a lot of farmers give up because they don't go along with the rising bureaucracy anymore. And yes, of course, one important point is that farmers are entrepreneurs and you want to decide on your own what are you doing on your fields. So sometimes you don't want to bound it for a too long time as a period of time to any decisions. And yeah, I won't tell you anything new when I say liquidity is always a problem and or always a topic, not a problem, but a topic. And we are mostly planning, or we have most time annual crops. So we are also thinking with our liquidity annually. So if we are taking part at programs, we also need most times then liquidity or at annual. That was not from us. So, or you can go on ahead, please. So what's our conclusion for a carbon market system with the points I've told you before? We think it's the biggest part or the most important thing that carbon market system needs a high flexibility for farmers because of the high complexity of agricultural farming, which is very different here in Finland to England, and even in Germany, there are in every part really difficult, different conditions. So yeah, a high flexibility is for us really, really important. We can one slide ahead, please. And then we were thinking here about one possible solution for a carbon market system. And in our point of view, a catalog of different measures which can store carbon in the soil would be most practical. For example, with a credit system where you can start trade with the credits. Because I think at the end, it's important that the farmer can decide on their own for his individual farm and with his individual farm structures, which measurements fits to the farm. That's why I think a catalog is, maybe the best way to do. And for us, it's also important that everything is science-based and analyzed of the process, because for us, if we do anything, we want to know how much carbon is really stored in a long-term view, that the measurements we are doing, that they really work. Otherwise, I think that wouldn't work at all. You could go one slide ahead, please. We took also part at the LIFE project, and here we heard a lot of different measurements to store carbon in the soil, and just want to give feedback to a few measurements. We were thinking about permanent grassland and the green fallow. Here in Germany, we have the regulation that after 5 years, if you put arable land to grassland, you have to turn it over again, then plow it again. Otherwise, in Germany, you're not allowed to use a field for arable farming again. That are the state regulations. And if you don't turn it over, you have like a really big loss of land, which is here in the eastern part about 40,000 euro per hectare. It's the former western part, it's much higher. So this loss would be too big to convert arable land to grassland. Then one big point is agroforestry systems, and how I already showed you, the land structure in Germany is really, really difficult. So we can't really make long-term decisions for 20 years because our contracts doesn't work with us. But I was thinking about field hedge because they also store carbon in the ground, and maybe this could be a solution if you can't do agroforestry because of the difficult land structures. And here the effective microorganisms are becoming, well, I hear more and more about the effective microorganisms, and they increase the humus build-up and activate the photosynthesis capacity of the plants. And with the effective microorganism, you get bigger roots, like a neighbor of us is doing it or they are spraying effective microorganism, and they have really bigger roots. And we learned at the LIFE project that bigger roots also store a lot of carbon in the ground. So we were thinking maybe this could be one solution to go more into the direction of regenerative agriculture. And we also think about renewable energies. For example, in Germany, of 20% of the arable land, the arable land is just used for energy production. So you are planting canola and corn, and out of the harvest, you are producing energy. And maybe it's more effective if you can convert some of this arable land to grassland, store carbon in the ground, and also use the grassland for ground-mounted photovoltaics, because that's much more effective for energy production, and you have also the chance to have more biodiversity, because you can, for example, the same amount of energy you're producing with 40 hectares of maize, you're producing with 1 hectare of ground-mounted photovoltaics. So if you swap some of the system, you have the chance to have more biodiversity and maybe use fields for other belongings like carbon storage. Yep. That were our ideas for carbon markets, and I finished with my presentation. Can go one slide ahead, and I want to say thank you for your attention, and hope you understand what I wanted to say.
Thank you so much, Anna-Sophie and Jörg. This was really, really good and well thought and well targeted presentation. And one of the questions I had before was some recommendations for the policy for the coming CAP, and the problems with grasslands, definitely agroforestry. This was really good, and also the hybrid use of the fields. We in Carbon Action like to say that we can produce carbon and crops or grain on the same fields, but you show and promote also producing solar energy and biodiversity on the same field. So this was great. Great point made. We are about the end of our session, but Laura, would you like to share some further lessons or message level based on your experience?
I just have to say, because not so much, I just want to thank for the presentation so warmly. It was really nice to hear about the farmers' perspective, and it would be so nice to continue and collaborate as we work with the carbon farmers in Finland and many new ideas. But maybe we can continue with some email or something, as I saw that we are sort of running out of time. But thank you so much. It was really, really nice presentation.
Yes, thank you indeed. This was a good message also to the policy level to consider the value of this kind of international knowledge exchange and ensure that we have projects and platforms and funding for this kind of exchange also in the future. There are no immediate burning questions in the chat. As I see, the discussion will continue, of course, after this presentation and further on. So I thank you all participants and speakers for the session, and apologize for my part also for the, but it's a learning process and new platform for us, so have to live with that. But thank you very much, and enjoy the rest of the conference. Bye bye.
Bye bye.
Okay.
Thank you so much. Bye bye.
Have a nice Christmas time. No corona.